It is widely regarded as one of the best, if not the premier off-road racing championship series on the planet. It is where the best of the best do battle on South African soil, in the best racing machinery you'll find anywhere in the world, and it's about to get even better. This is the first chapter in the 2024 book, the first throw of the dice in everyone's quest to add the coveted title of SA Champions to their names. Welcome to round one of the 2024 South African Rally Raid Championship. And all the action is brought to you by Toyota, hashtag Team Hilux Rally Raid, Ford, Castrol, and ICAM. It is a new year and it's a new season in the 2024 SA Rally Raid Championship. 7 races taking place this year, first of which in Mpumalanga is the Team Rally Raid Nkomazi. Let's just spend a minute to set the scene. The cars competing in the SARRC are some of the best in the world. In fact, a machine like this one, complete with a set of karting number plates, have won the world's most grueling race, the Dakar Rally, no less than 3 times in the last 5 years. These awesome big-wheeled and 4-wheel drive machines make up the so-called T1 Ultimate class, while 3 more categories, called Adventurer, Challenger and SSV, will provide a platform for crews in almost any car to come and race. And no matter what you race, the objective will always be to end as high up on the leaderboard as possible, with overall victory the ultimate goal. And no one knows the feeling of overall victory better than South African off-road racing royalty and Dakar legend Janelle de Villiers.
Look, I mean, I think this is by far the strongest championship in the world. We've got 21 T1 Plus cars here, which I haven't seen anywhere else in the world.
For once, de Villiers or any other driver of a Toyota will not start the season as the defending champion, as that honour belongs to Gareth Woolridge, who clinched the 2023 title in style. The Ford driver is back to defend it with a new look car.
Yeah, look, last year was brilliant. I think out of the 7 events, we were on the podium every race except one and won 3 of the events. So our best year yet. Hopefully we can do it again.
As always, the younger of the Woolridge brothers could once again count on the help of older brother Lance.
The new look range is fantastic. I think we went for really aggressive styling, but it's also functional. There's a lot of stuff that we really focused on our learnings from last year.
The might of the Toyota Gazoo racing team did not take kindly to missing out on the 2023 title. So the team starts the 2024 season with a full arsenal, including both their Dakar sensations Sahud Varioa and Guy Bartrell.
So really looking forward to doing the full season, and I hope to get it off on a good start.
We're in a very, very strong championship, so if you manage to get onto the podium here, I think you're doing really well.
And welcome back to former multiple champion Henk Lategan, who's making a welcome return.
I can feel my shoulder's not 100% yet. It's good enough to race, but I'm not as fit as I used to be or as strong as I used to be. It will get back, but it's going to be a long road.
Besides the factory entries from both Ford and Toyota, there were a number of crews that are more than capable of fighting for overall victory. And none more so than local Malalan heroes Johan and Vanna Horn.
Yeah, no, we're happy to be back. You know, I haven't raced here since the last time we were here. Last year we missed.
And never exclude the wily old fox Chris Visser, who returns with the Redline Revo, but now with GTR power under the bonnet.
We did 2 regionals. We had some small issues there, but now the car's very good.
So those are some of the names and faces of the crews that will do battle in the 2024 SA Rally Raid Championship. And this was the first of the battlegrounds. This is the Team Hilux Rally Raid Nkomazi 400, which, as the name suggests, would be contested on 400 kilometers of rough gravel roads in and around the low-fell town of Malalan. Nestled between the mighty Crocodile River on the one side and the towering hills of the Limbombo Mountains on the other, the town of Malalan borders the world-famous Kruger National Park. But for this occasion, the attraction was a different kind of animal. First up though, we have the Castrol qualifier. may have only been 11 kilometers in distance, but in a qualifying race, 11 kilometers can make all the difference in the world. So the crews had everything to play for, especially Henk Lategan, who made a welcome return to the sport and showed that he hadn't lost any of his speed and skill by setting a time of 7 minutes and 6 seconds in the Toyota Gazoo Racing Hilux. Next up, the two NWM Ford Rangers of brothers Lance and Gareth Woolridge, who opened their accounts with good times, albeit a little slower than the time set by Lategan. The two Fords were followed into the qualifying race by a trio of Toyotas in the form of Guy Bottrell, now with Dennis Murphy reading the notes, Janelle de Villiers with new Navi Alvin Fonk, and youngster Sahud Variawa with his French co-driver Francois Cazalet. Variawa was quick and stopped the clock just 3 seconds slower than teammate Lategan to occupy the provisional second spot. While there were some issues for both de Villiers and Bottrell, who lost nearly half a minute each over the first few kilometers of the race. The extra power in the GTR-powered Redline Revo clearly helped veteran Chris Visser, who set a time well inside the top 10. But it didn't help as much as the local knowledge exhibited firstly by the Horn brothers Johan and Vanna, and shortly after that by local businessmen Eben Besson and Leander Pinot. The two Team Hilux Rally Raid cars set the 6th and 4th fastest times respectively. And then this happened. Youngster Jaden Els with Henry Kiernan in the Navi seat of the King Price Extreme SVR managed to stop the clock in a time of 7 minutes and 5 seconds. Just 1 second faster than Lategan, but enough to claim pole position. Plenty of expectations on some massive names competing here, but in the end, quickest of the lot and finishing fastest as we head towards the first stage, it was young Jaden Els alongside Henry Kiernan.
Look, it's like a childhood dream. Seeing most of these guys race since I was a little boy, and now being up amongst them, it's amazing.
There it is, the official results following the Castrol qualifying race, with Els topping the pile, just a single second ahead of Lategan. Variawa was best of the rest, with a great showing by Besson to occupy 4th, ahead of the first of the Fords, driven by Lance Woolridge. Locals, the Horn brothers, were next up, followed by yet another Ford, the GTR-powered Revo of Visser, and 2 more Toyotas in the form of Bottrell and de Villiers, who rounded out the top 10. In a normal race, the end of qualifying will usually also signal the end of Friday's proceedings. But the new look Nkomazi 400 was not a normal race. The key words were both action and entertainment, and in an effort to provide as much of both as possible, the organisers added a full loop of racing action, or Stage 1, to the Friday program as well. The route consisted of 50 kilometers of rough gravel roads to the east of the town, and would play a huge role in the overall outcome of the event. And so did the draw for starting positions. The 10 fastest crews from qualifying get to draw their starting positions in reverse order, which meant that the likes of Els and Lategan were still in prime position. And after the draw, this is what the new starting order for Stage 1 looked like. For the second time in one day, the flag was once again waved to get the action underway, and this time the honours, or is it disadvantage, of opening the virgin bushveld roads belonged to veteran Chris Visser and Blicky Sventer in the Redline Revo GTR. Visser was followed by a string of Toyotas, including the 2 Gazoo Racing versions of Guy Bottrell and Dennis Murphy, and Sahud Variawa and Francois Cazalet. And then the 2 Team Hilux Rally Raid versions of locals Johan and Vanna Horn, and Eben Besson and Leander Pinot. NWM Ford fans were happy to see their heroes line up next in the form of Lance Woolridge and Kenny Gilbert, and the defending champions Gareth Woolridge and Boyd Dreyer in their new look Ford Rangers. The old man Janelle de Villiers, now with Alvin Fonk reading the notes, started his campaign from 8th on the road, followed by TGRSA teammates Henk Lategan and Brett Cummings. The men who qualified in pole position were none other than youngster Jaden Els and Henry Kiernan, and as a result the King Price Extreme SVR crew would start their race with a good view from 10th on the road. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Visser found the going tough and had to settle for a time just outside the top 10, but ahead of the Bottrell Hilux, who lost time thanks to a flat tyre that needed changing. The performance of Daniel Schroeder and local Navi Ryan Bland deserves credit. The German driver not only completed the day's racing in a very competitive 10th position overall, but did so in an old and lower class Nissan Navara against fierce competition. And talking of fierce competition, few people are more fierce than Imlakleni brothers Fushiya and Batis Blickno. The Team Hilux crews, now in only their second full season of the SARC, but already mixing it up with the big names and completed the day 9th on the overall standings. Times were getting close near the top of the leaderboard, with Janelle de Villiers and Alvin Font moving to just over a minute off the leading pace. But that would only be good enough for 8th overall at this point of the race. This made Eden Bassan and Leander Pinar's 7th position even more remarkable, considering that Bassan is in a so-called adventure class car with the smaller wheels and less suspension travel than his rivals. And people have always asked what the difference is between the popular Woolridge brothers and their even more popular NWM Ford Rangers. On day 1 of the Nkomazi 400, the answer was a mere 2 seconds, in the favour of younger brother Gareth, who finished the day in 5th on the overall leaderboard. So just 4 more crews remain to battle it out for the provisional podium positions. Our pole man Jaden Els, former champion Henk Laargan, young gun Sahud Variawa, and local heroes the Horns. When the checkered flag was waved, the organisers had some calculations to make. When the times from qualifying and the 50km stage 1 were added, Els and Kian had dropped from 1st after qualifying to 4th on the overall standings, but less than half a minute off the lead. The Horn brothers Jan and Vanna gave their local fans much to cheer about as they set the fastest time on the 50km stage by less than a second. But after adding the qualifying race time, they ended the day 3rd on the standings. Just 1 single second from the Gazoo Racing Hilux of youngster Sahud Variawa. The young man clearly has a very bright future ahead of him and is obviously on a charge to make his mark in both local and international rally raid racing. But on the day, no one was able to match the outright pace of Henk Laargan and Brett Cummings, who ended the day with a 13-second lead over the rest of the field in their first race back since October last year. As far as the overall leaderboard was concerned, it was all about Henk Laargan, who re-established himself as the class of the field. It was a close affair between Variawa in 2nd and the Horn brothers in 3rd. Young Els completed the day in 4th, slightly ahead of the charging Ford Rangers of brothers Gareth and Lance Woolridge. An emotional day for the local Horn brothers, who won the loop and completed the day in 3rd.
It's the first race of the year, and unfortunately you didn't take part last year because of the untimely passing of your dad.
Yeah, look, it's still early here, you know, it's only the first loop. But yeah, we're happy with the result.
At the top of the standings, Laargan was as analytical as ever.
Yeah, times are extremely close. I think tapping the brakes once 10 meters too early would have made the difference.
And that was pretty much that from day 1 of the Nkomazi 400 here on the banks of the Crocodile River in Malalan. It was an action-packed day for both crews and spectators alike. And the good news was that on the Saturday they could do it all over again. This was it, race day of round 1 of the 2024 SA Rally Raid Championship. The competing crews have all seen a fair bit of action on the Friday of the event, but on the menu for the Saturday, 2 stages of rough gravel roads making up no less than 340 kilometers through the beautiful scenery that included sugarcane fields, bushveld, and a narrow mountain section that left zero margin for error.
It's tricky opening the roads here always.
It's going to be tough. We're going to try and push 100%. May the best guy win.
As the men who set the pace on the Friday, it was up to Toyota Gazoo Racing's Henk Laargan and Brett Cummings to open the virgin roads on the Saturday morning. And at 8:30 they dropped the hammer in the Hilux. One by one, with just 2-minute intervals, the entire field, consisting more than 30 cars and crews, set off in their challenge to claim victory at the Nkomazi 400. But before we get how it ended, let's take a quick look at some of the crews who weren't fortunate enough to see the checkered flag. The tough route clearly took its toll, as several big names were forced to throw in the towel, including the likes of Brian Baragwanath and Leonard Kramer, who continued to develop the very fast Century Racing CR7. Skalkberg and Armand Tutoya's debut in the newly upgraded King Price Extreme Volkswagen Amarok also came to a premature end. And racing stalwart Johan van Staden and his son Sean added their names to the unfortunate list of retirees. Someone who did finish, albeit in the final classified position, was none other than gentleman Jeff Minnett, who alongside Nabby Rodney Burke claimed the side-by-side or SSB class in the process. But back to the big race up front between the boys in the blue, the gaggle of Gazoo Hiluxes, a few more Toyotas in the Team Hilux Rally Raid colours, and a string of Redline Revos. Oh yes, and don't forget about the man who surprised all by qualifying in pole position the day before, Jaden Nels. At the front, split times revealed that Glasgow and Cummings were slowly increasing their lead over the chasing pack, consisting of teammates Fariawa and Cazalet. And the first of the two NWM Fords, driven by Gareth Woolridge and Boyd Dreyer. There was, however, a heartache for older brother Lance Woolridge and Kenny Gilbert, who suffered from a broken drive shaft that in turn damaged the brake line of their rapid Ford Ranger, effectively taking them out of contention. Also in the mix was the third of the Gazoo Hiluxes, piloted by Janelle de Villiers, who was obviously getting used to the new voice in the car in the form of Alvin Vonk in the navigator's seat. There were just seconds separating the old Fox de Villiers and the young crew of Jaden Nels and Henry Kierna, who were showing that Friday's pole position was no fluke in their upgraded King Price Extreme SVR. Halfway through stage 2, Els was holding his own ahead of the hard-charging Horn brothers in the Team Hilux Rally Raid Hilux, the last of the Gazoo racing Hiluxes in the hands of Guy Bottrell and Dennis Murphy. And another Team Hilux machine driven by the Blipno brothers was Sheehan Bantis. Chris Visser and Blickies Fenter were clearly enjoying the extra power in the Redline Revo GTR, but could not quite keep up with the front runners, while German driver Jürgen Schroeder and Stuart Gregory were doing a fantastic job of occupying a spot in the top 10, and that in an older and lower spec Nissan Navara. And what bad luck for local businessman Eben Basson and his navigator Leander Pinot. The Team Hilux crew started the day high up on the overall leaderboard, a remarkable achievement considering they were driving a small wheel Hilux in the so-called adventurer class. But their adventure was halted when the steering in their car cried, "Enough." A scary thing to happen, especially in the mountain section of the route. Back at the Nkomazi fuel depot, the service crews had exactly 30 minutes to work their magic on the used and abused racing machines, while the crews also got a chance to take a breath and to reflect on the day's action.
It's got something of everything. I mean, there was some beautiful stuff. I mean, halfway through the loop, I was telling Brett, this is fun.
Teammate Variawa was finding the going tough during his first visit to Malalan.
We had a lot of overshoots and stuff, so really not great. But I think in this next loop we'll try our best.
Johan Horn continuing to fly the flag for Malalan here in what is your home race. How was that second stage?
The front disc broke, so we had no brakes for this last, I would say, 50k or so.
While the teams were preparing themselves for the remaining part of the race, the spectators, on the other hand, were enjoying the race from a different perspective.
Oh, this is the life. You've got amazing rally action, you've got magnificent drinks, and delicious food. Welcome to the SA Rally Raid Championship VIP experience.
The VIP experience gave spectators and sponsors the chance to witness all the adrenaline-fueled action from a land of luxury.
It's a hospitality area where you can entertain your sponsors and your clients. So we thought we'd try it out. It's proven to be a great success for the first race. So we're going to continue for the season. And it's just a way of us giving back to sponsors and attracting new sponsors.
Yeah, this is very special. I must say, I do feel very important when I stand here. Sometimes the guys come to the race and they don't always know where to go. So it's nice for them to come to this area, sit here, they can see it on television, follow the race live, and you sit and you cheer for the guy that you want to follow and he still drives past you. And so you get that live feeling.
It's great to have iCam on board, live action, inboard cameras. There's three cameras per car, so you don't have to leave the comfort of the VIP area to watch the action.
We actually at breakfast ran out to one of the viewpoints, stood there for a couple of hours, and I said, "Oh, let's come back." And I think we're going to sit here until the race is done. I mean, it's nice and cool, and you've got a couple of drinks going, some food. No, it's brilliant.
Instead of driving around and chasing other buckies and stuff, sitting here enjoying the VIP room is lovely.
Properly VIP, that's why.
It's nice to sit here and view it from here. Food is lovely, drinks is nice, we're enjoying it.
absolutely awesome. Such an experience, such a great idea, and I really hope they do it often at all the races.
Back to the action and the last throw of the dice for all the crews who had aspirations of winning the opening round. Just 168 kilometers remained. Once again, it was up to Henk Ladekan and Brett Cummings to open the road, where they encountered a spectator car along the route. The result was a collision between the two, but we're happy to announce that all the occupants escaped serious injury. With Ladekan removed from the action, the floodgates opened as several crews all of a sudden had a sniff of victory, including the remaining Gazoo Hiluxes of Variawa, Bartrell and de Villiers, the Ford of the remaining Woolridge, youngster Jaden Els, and the Team Hilux crews of the Horns and the Blicknose. In the end, there was huge disappointment for the NWM Ford squad when Gareth Woolridge and Boyd Dreyer were forced into retirement after being in contention early on. The culprit was a broken water pump. Vos Prinsloo and Andre Vermeulen were the ones left to fly the flag for Ford and did so by completing the race just outside of the top 10. The fight for honours in the Adventurer T1 class also made it into the overall top 10, with Gerard and Rooney Heinlein claiming 3rd in class and 10th overall from behind the wheel of the Redline VK56. Johan de Bruin and Adrian Rutz put in an enormous effort to finish 2nd in the Adventurer T1 class after starting the final day in 24th place. The Redline Revo crew fought their way open to a 9th place overall finish with a little daylight between themselves and the crew who finished ahead of them, consisting of Daniel Schroeder and Ryan Bland in their older Nissan Navara. The German was also rewarded with an Adventurer class victory for his efforts. We were now nearing the business end of things, with the top steps to the podium still up for grabs. And with less than 70 kilometers to go, TGR, Sahoud Variawa and Francois Cazelet were still fancying their chances, but the tough mountain section of route was taking its toll on the braking systems in a number of cars, including the Hilux driven by Variawa. This caused them to slide off the road, where they got stuck for a while, until they were rescued by teammates Janelle de Villiers and Alvin Fonk, who pulled them back onto the road. That valuable time was lost, dropping Variawa down the order and into an eventual 7th place finish. Having started the final day in 11th place, Chris Fiss and Albertus Venter had to face the dust of competitors in front of them for most of the day. But the team brought their new Redline Revo T1 Plus GTR home in 6th place overall. Ahead of Fisser, the two Team Hilux machines of the Horn brothers and the Blickno brothers were involved in their own battles, not only with each other but also with the brakes in their cars. The Blicknos are only in their 2nd season in the top flight of the sport, but have progressed remarkably fast. But on this occasion they were beaten by the local heroes, the Horn brothers Johan and Vanna, who managed to manhandle their Hilux around the final part of the route with little or no brakes. 4th for the men from Malalan. All that remained was to settle the fight for the final podium spots. TGRSA teammates Guy Bartrell and Janelle de Villiers and the talented Jaden Els. De Villiers seemed to have an edge with just a few kilometers to go, but the Dakar legend lost time earlier when he assisted his teammate Variawa. Meanwhile, Bartrell and Murphy were battling their own issues, first with a flat tyre and later with severe dust, while Els and Kierna, on the other hand, were struggling to keep their King Price Extreme SV on the road, also thanks to failing brakes. The young man put in a valiant effort by mixing it up with big names, but in the end, he had no choice but to settle for 3rd. So it came down to this, a duel between teammates Bartrell and Murphy and de Villiers and Fonk. And after 400 kilometers of racing that took a total of 6 hours and 21 minutes to complete, it was de Villiers and Fonk who emerged from the Malalan Mountains as the overall victors. And here it is, confirmation of de Villiers and Fonk's 45-second victory over teammates Bartrell and Murphy, with young Els claiming the final podium spot. The Horns narrowly missed out in 4th, ahead of their teammates, the Blickno brothers. Fisser was next, followed by Variawa with the first 3 Adventurer class cars of Schroeder, De Bruin and Heinlein, rounding out the overall top 10. Nothing beats the sweet taste of victory from the winner's podium. He's still young, but we suspect this is something that Jaden Els will get to experience a lot more going forward.
To Uncle Skalk and Skalkburger Motorsport for believing in me and backing me, supporting my dream. Yeah, I think hopefully there's still a lot to come.
So close, but yet so far for Bottrell, who came to within 45 seconds of a win here in Malalan.
To come back and finish second overall is fantastic. Team did a great job. Dennis was really good on the notes. First time I'm sitting with Dennis.
And another trophy for the rather full trophy cabinet of legendary driver Janelle de Villiers. His first one with Vonk reading the notes.
I'm really happy, thanks to her. She did a great job on the notes, and yeah, the team did a great job with the preparation of the car.
It is with great sadness that the SARC would like to dedicate this episode to the life of Joel Fourie, a true gentleman of our sport. Rest in peace, old friend. That was all the action from the Nkomazi 400 here in Malalan, and it was brought to you by Toyota, #Team Hilux Rally Raid, Ford, Castrol and ICANN. Next up, the SARC moves to the hills of northern KZN and the town of Vryheid for round 2, scheduled to take place on the 24th and 25th of May.